Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Health Chats podcast. Merry Christmas. Happy almost New Year 2026. Holy cow, I can't believe we're stepping into this already. I don't know about you, but it feels like this year went by like this, like so fast. And it seems like the older I get, every year is just speeding up. I don't know if that's just me. I doubt it because we're all human and we're all experiencing something very similar. But coming to the end of the year, I always like to reflect on how my year went. I used to be a little bit more intense where I would do like weekly reflections and then monthly reflections. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But if I really look at how I have transformed in my journey, I would say I'm a little bit softer. I'm not as intense in the whole personal development, kind of like that is my personality as it used to be. And maybe that's just getting older and appreciating moments more and being present in the moment rather than always thinking of what's next and how can I improve and how can I get better. And what I wanted to talk about today on this episode is goals that I didn't hit this year and what happened instead. And this is honestly like uncomfortable to talk about as someone who used to really identify as a high achiever. I would say I'm still a high achiever, but it's not so much an identity anymore that, if I don't achieve, I'm losing a part of myself. I would say by not achieving, I actually feel way more connected to my higher self and alignment in ways that I would have never seen. And 1 year ago, Kelsey watching this, she would be like, "Who are you?" Like, you are so different. Because, of course, going into 2025, I was like, okay, vision board, we're setting goals, we're setting like quotas that we have to hit. And there's a lot of goals I didn't hit. And I'm going to share why I didn't hit them and why I actually feel really proud of not achieving them. Um, we can always talk about goal setting and how to set goals, how to achieve more, how to do better, how to become more. But I feel like we don't talk enough about what happens in your life when you do choose that alignment over the achievement. And there's a quote I want to start this with that feels aligned for what I'm going to share. It's by Charles Cooley, and it says, "I am not who I think I am. I am not who you think I am. I am who I think you think I am." And I'll repeat that. He says, "I am not who I think I am. I am not who you think I am. I am who I think you think I am." It sounds like a tongue twister now that I've said it twice. But what I take from that quote is we have these ideas in our mind of who we're supposed to be. And often they're tied to an external of what we want people to see us as. It's often the ego, the outside world, and there's nothing wrong with the ego. But we create goals based off of who we think someone else should see us as, and it has nothing to do with who we actually are. And I'll repeat that setting goals is not bad. Nothing I say is good nor bad. This just simply is how I've experienced this year. And I feel like it's relatable, or it might be. So the first goal, cue the vision board. That's been the background on my phone. I can't show it because my phone is recording this. Hi. But I had a vision board that was the background of my phone for pretty much the entire year until I changed it not that long ago to a photo of me as a 1-year-old. It was me on my first birthday. And I changed it because something shifted inside where every time I looked at that vision board, I was like, this doesn't feel like me. This doesn't, yes, these are goals that would be really cool to hit, but when I look at them, I don't get excited. I don't feel this drive or this pull that's like, yeah, I want to hit 10K followers and I want to run a marathon and I want to have a boyfriend and all of these things. I didn't feel that at all. So I changed it to a picture of little Kelsey, little me. It's so cute and it reminds me of who I actually am, like on the inside. And it makes me emotional too, because I feel like the adult journey is kind of like disconnecting from that inner child. And then hopefully, if you do the kind of work that's required to get there, you reconnect with that part of you. And I feel like a lot of this year was reconnecting with little me. So, first goal I had on that vision board was just like Pinterest, a boyfriend, girlfriend, like a shadow of them, and I think a random couple sitting in a kitchen. And honestly, for a long time, I felt like this was something that I was supposed to have a relationship, a partnership. And I felt like I should be disappointed if I don't get this by a certain time. Like it's like I had this time frame in my mind, but when I speak it out loud, I can't even put my finger on what that time frame is. I don't have an age, I don't have a date, I don't have anything like that. But you can probably relate if you're listening to this, if this has landed in your ears, that there's a lot of external pressure of being in a relationship, getting married, buying a house by a certain age, doing these certain things that are just kind of like things that we check off in our life. And there's nothing wrong if that is the path that you are following. But for me, I don't think that's my path. I actually know that is not my path. I'm not saying I will never get into a relationship, but it's almost like humorous to be able to look at that now as a goal that I had. That's like, this year, 2025, I'm going to do it. What I did instead was I really deepened the relationships that were already in my life. One of the things that came to be, this was not on the bingo card, but I was able to move in with some of my closest friends. And I learned through that experience how to actually depend on people again. Um, Honestly, it was really uncomfortable at first. And it's cool how when you shift your environment, you mold to whatever that environment is. And I think often humans, me, I can speak as myself, will resist going into that place of discomfort because we know how hard it's going to be. But it opened up as an opportunity. And I said to myself at the beginning of the year, I want a relationship. And when this space came up, I was like, well, that's a relationship. It doesn't have to be romantic. Intimacy, it's not always romantic. And support doesn't come in one form. And moving in here has been probably one of the best, I'm going to say, like top things that I've quote unquote achieved this year. It's not an achievement, it's just part of my journey. And yeah, it has healed me in ways that I can't even explain. So if you're listening to this, I love you guys, whether you're listening on the pod or outside of the door. The next one, another goal that I didn't hit, was I didn't reach 10,000 followers. Oh, darn. Boo. My following actually barely moved this year. If you go into Instagram, which is the main platform that I've been growing over the past few years, you can only look at the last 90 days and it shows you how many people follow you and how many people don't follow you. And oh my God, how numbers can like seriously mess with your head. There's something about big numbers and especially those double digits where it goes from like, you know, 9,901 or whatever it is to like this big chunk number. I don't know about you, but when I land on a page where they have 10K or more, it's like, whoa, suddenly this person seems a little bit more successful. silly thing. It's a vanity metric. It's something with psychology that does something weird in our brain, but we don't actually know what that person's life is like behind the X amount of numbers that they have. We don't know. We don't know at all unless you like actually know that person personally. And the truth, like what I've seen in this reflection is the people that do follow me on Instagram or Facebook or on this podcast, you are incredible. Like you are actually so devoted to supporting me in whatever I put out. If I create a weird little reel or I put out something super deep, I share something like this, you guys are like, you're there. You are committed. And so, yeah, while I didn't reach this bigger number, and quite honestly, I didn't put in the required work to scale in that way, what I have here, the community that I have, to me, that's a success factor in itself. That's so different. And I am deeply grateful for the people that I have reached and not just the number that's attached to it. Does this mean that I don't have that goal to reach more people? Absolutely not. I wouldn't be creating podcast episodes and posting still consistently and showing up because I didn't want to get the message out. But it's not entirely about that number anymore. It's more, how can I refine my messaging so it actually speaks to the people that I want to speak to? So that's something that I'm really working on. And I would say it's like ever transforming, especially through social media and being in this industry. The next goal on the vision board. This was a tough one. This happened early in the year. I think it was February. I set out to run a marathon this year. So last year I ran my first half marathon. It felt so good to achieve that. I was like, holy moly, I never thought I would even do this. It was just something people talked about. I ran a half marathon. It was easier than I thought it would be. And so coming into 2025, me and a girlfriend were like, let's run a full marathon. I started training for it and almost immediately lost my period. I've shared on previous episodes, I'm very open about this. I've shared on social media that I have had hormone struggles for the last 4 or more years. I don't actually know the timeline now at this point, but I had gained it back. And then through training, I lost it. And at that moment, I was like, I'm not training. I'm not training anymore. I told myself going into it, if my hormones fluctuated in any way that was not under the definition of what health is, not just to me, but like actual health. There's a difference between having abs and being skinny and being able to run and like actually being healthy. And again, not saying that people who run are not healthy, but the way my body responded was, nope, we're not doing this. And so I had to choose between pushing for an achievement or listening to my body. And I chose health. And from then on, again, I don't remember when it was. It might have been like February or March. But I decided that I'm just going to eat. I'm going to enjoy food. I completely healed my relationship with food over the last few years, that I no longer struggle with that binge restrict cycle like I used to. And the one thing that I still kind of struggled with was my body image. So this year I gained 15 pounds. I don't know if you can tell because it's been both fat and muscle, but I'm not sad or mad or upset or anything about it, because for the first time, I have had a consistent menstrual cycle for over 10 months. First time in like over 4 years. And there's a lot that people don't know about not having a menstrual cycle. I'm going to jump straight to worst case scenario. You could die if you don't have one. Your bone loss risks are higher. If you're not shedding your endometrium, like you're actually not getting rid or like discarding stuff that should not be in your body, if you're not even building it up, that's a fear. Like there's so many things that are like big, big danger if you're not getting a period. So I chose health. I gained weight. I still feel good in my body. I feel strong. I feel happy that I can actually eat food and like not feel bad about it. And so to me, that win matters. That win matters more than any medal that I could have been given or crossing a finish line. And I say all of this to also say nothing is never. Nothing is never. This could have been kind of just like the leftover, I don't know what to call it, struggle of my hormones being fucked up for so many years that it just wasn't the time. Maybe I could run a marathon one day if I want to. At this point, I don't really want to, but that could change, and I'm open to that. Next goal. So I, again, cue the background on my phone. I wrote business growth. That's what I put on there. I wanted online business growth because all of the gurus outside of me are saying, you know, this is the year to have the freedom, build your business online. You can make 10K in 30 days. Oh my God. They don't say that as much anymore. But what did I do instead? I set this goal and then I slowly started to burn my online business to the ground, like completely. And not because I failed, but because online coaching and being behind a screen, being just in the app, it didn't feel super aligned for me. And I do still have clients. I do have online clients. It was the full-time idea in my mind that was like, I have to go all in on this. That didn't feel right. So instead, I really leaned into in-person connection. I have done over 6, I think. I was trying to look at the numbers, but I think I did more than 6 community events this year. I brought together over 200 people for yoga and conversation and connection and collaboration with local businesses. And that filled my soul more than creating or optimizing or targeting or call to action like any content ever could. I created content alongside it, but it felt more like it was from a creative place and it was like fun. And it wasn't because I had to, but because I wanted to. Going back to not increasing my following, there was no strategy behind it. It was all just for fun. So that felt like a win. The other win was this podcast. I started this out of a place of someone being like, hey, let's make some content together and let's record our conversation. And I was like, I'm going all in. And so 9 or 10 months later, however long it's been, I have been putting out episodes every week. I've talked to people who I never thought I would ever talk to, but because I have this platform now, I get to. And there is so much more coming in 2026. I will just say that. And now those are the goals I didn't hit. And these are really just what I came or put together based off of the vision board that was still in the phone screen, like, you know, when you can look at your previous phone screen. But there were goals that I hit too. There were goals that I had on there that I did hit. I didn't, create a complete miss. But it's interesting the ones that I hit. So one of them, the first one was I traveled back to Hawaii. Hawaii has been calling me back on the phone, showing up in ways that feel very spiritual to me since 2023. And I kept saying to people, this is where language is so important. I kept saying, oh, I just want to go back. I want. I'm like placing it so far outside of myself. And who's going to bring me to Hawaii other than myself? No one. So I had it as my background. I remember looking at it one day and I was like, well, if I don't go now, when am I going to go? And I booked the ticket and I did it. And it was amazing. I didn't go to try to achieve anything. I wasn't trying to build anything. I just went and I connected with my friends out there and I chilled on the beach. And it was like so good on my nervous system. It felt so great. I love Hawaii. And it felt like it filled the missing piece. I don't know what it was that was calling me back, but it felt like it filled that. So I'm really, really glad and grateful that I just went for it. The other place I went most recently was Bali. I went to Bali and this is somewhere that I've been wanting to go since I was a little girl. And what was crazy about this one is it almost didn't happen. The reason I was supposed to go changed at the last minute. The reason I was supposed to go was more of an achievement. It was more of an external. And at the last minute, that got canceled. And I was like, shoot, I have a plane ticket. Should I cancel it? I don't know if I should do this. What am I doing? Da, da, da. I booked my entire trip, planned everything, hostels, etc., within 5 days before I went. And I am so glad I made that happen because, again, going to a new place, slowing down. I ended up doing a 50-hour yin training where I did yin yoga for like 4 hours a day and then learned all about yin. And it was just like pure slowness. It was absolutely incredible. And in between, I just chilled. I relaxed. And again, my high achiever self is listening from over a year ago. And she's like, what do you mean, Kelsey? That's not okay. But I think this is what healing looks like because I really slowed down enough on both of these trips to regulate my nervous system and not just like check the box of like, I did yin today in between the rat race and the busyness of everything, but like truly sink into it. Another thing I did is I trained consistently. I have been going to the gym 3 days a week, sometimes four, for this entire year. So 12 months. I took 6 weeks off, which are good to take deload weeks. I fed my body all of the whole foods. I also indulged more than I probably ever have and tried some really incredible food, especially while traveling. I read books that expanded me. I didn't set this goal that I need to read 52 books in 52 weeks because, yep, I've done that in the past and that's not realistic. But what I did read was super good for my soul and I feel like has helped me alongside taking action and being in alignment. I journal daily. I reflect on gratitude. I reflect on the end of my day of like, how was today? Where did I show up? How didn't I show up? I had uncomfortable conversations with people instead of avoiding them. I know past versions of myself, she would totally avoid things. I feel like I closed any potentially open loops, which is a new term that came from a previous conversation on here. But yeah, I feel like I have no open loops. Like I feel quite honestly like I'm living in deep harmony right now, which it's interesting because stepping into the year, this idea in my mind, which again was like a very achievement focused idea, she said like, you've got to hit these things. And if you don't, then you're a failure. But coming to the end of this year, this is the happiest I've ever been. This is the most aligned I've ever been. I feel confident. I feel courageous. I am doing really big things that are coming in 2026 that not many people know about, but I'm doing them because I don't care about what anyone says. It's more about what feels right for me. And yeah, I'm just like really happy with where my life is and still at the same time holding a vision for the future. So what is the lesson in all of this? Because we always need something like that, right? I realized that being clear on your values matters more than being clear on your goals. And I say that because you can set any goal. You can say it out loud, you can write it down, you can build a vision board around it. Like I could make a vision board right now that's all on the fact that I want to open Subway restaurants because people say that having a Subway franchise is just like a great franchise to have. I don't know if that's true. I'm just saying random words. But I could do that. I could absolutely do that. But I don't really value like restaurants and like franchises and building something that doesn't feel aligned for me. So I could do all of that, but at the end of the day, my values and what I believe your values are what you spend the most time doing. And I know for me, I value my health more than a marathon medal. I value genuine connection more than surface level dating. I value in-person gatherings more than time behind the screen grinding. I value quality over quantity when it comes to community, whether it's virtual or in person. And I value experiencing culture and travel more than staying comfortable because it makes financial sense. So, heading into 2026, I'm still setting goals, but this time I feel like they're more rooted in like what I actually value because a lot of last year's goals, they were based on external ideas of what I thought I wanted. And life showed me what I actually needed. So, if you're entering the new year and you're craving more alignment, this is also a season of changing how I work. I am opening space to coach just five, high level entrepreneurs who struggle with self worth and learning how to truly love themselves beyond their achievements. If this resonates, if that's you, send me a message and let's get to work. I'll leave you guys there. Thank you so much for listening. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, and make this the most aligned year for you because that's what actually matters at the end of the day. Peace and love. Bye.